welcome to the Badass Breastfeeding Podcast. This is Dianne, your lactation consultant.
And I'm Abby, the Badass Breastfeeder, and today's episode is brought to you by Similary Breast Pumps. Similary Breast Pumps help you personalize your breastfeeding and pumping journey so that comfortable pump sessions are the norm and not the exception. And we will hear more from our sponsor later, but you can head to badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com and check out our sponsor page. If you ever need anything, see if you can give any of them your business because they make this podcast possible. And while you're there, scroll down, enter your email address, and we will send episodes straight to your inbox every week. And we are on Patreon, and we're going to keep telling you about it until we see you over there, enjoying our extra content, our content that you won't hear here on this podcast, and our Zoom hangouts. And we're, having a good time. We've really gotten to know a lot of people, and people are, having babies and getting the support that they need. So check the notes under this episode wherever you're listening from. There's a link at the top. Check and see if any of those tiers look good to you. And also, we're still hosting our ongoing giveaway for people who leave reviews around the internet, and we send out the goodie bags all the time. We love it. And you can take a screenshot of your written review or your stars or whatever and just send them to Badass Breastfeeding Podcast at gmail.com along with your address, and we'll send you one of those fun goodie bags of stickers and thank you for nursing in public cards. And now Dianne has our review of the week.
And it says, I've been breastfeeding my baby for almost 3 months, and I'm headed back to work soon. I was looking for something to talk me through the separation from baby and how to navigate pumping and breastfeeding, and I absolutely love this podcast. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to leave us a message. Oh my God, I can't get my words out today.
I know.
Thank you I know, it's wild. Going back to work is such a big transition. It is so hard.
Oh my God.
So I'm glad that you kind of found some support with us because it is a really big transition. And, here you are, you're rolling along with breastfeeding for a couple of months. And then all of a sudden it's time to be separated from your baby, and nobody wants that. And it's really hard. And I hope that, you're going to have a very successful transition to going back to work because it's not easy. So go easy on yourself.
Yeah,
for sure.
And that's seriously the hardest thing.
Yeah.
I know. And it's so expected. It's so just this is normal. This is what we do. And you're feeling traumatized. And you're something must be wrong with me. But it's not. I mean, there's something wrong with the whole situation, but there's not something wrong with you because you feel the way you feel.
I mean, it's just, it's just our maternity leave here in the States is just ridiculous. That's all. That's really what the big problem is.
Better.
It's not, unfortunately. But so good luck going back to work. And if we can support you in any way, definitely let us know. Hopefully you'll still keep listening and find some support that way too. And today we're going to talk about this article. I'm glad you found it again because I know I sent it to you a while ago.
You did, yeah. Because we are always what are we doing this weekend? And then I'm I know we talked about 8 different things.
I know.
Recently. So I was scrolling back and I'm wait, yeah, she sent this. I don't know. Then it ends up being past all of our other text messages about other random things. And Dianne and I have a lot to talk about.
I know.
And then we're wait, podcast. We have a podcast.
So we have a podcast. We have to talk about that stuff too. So this is an article, and I'll have to put it in the show notes because I thought it was. I don't normally we don't normally go off just articles. We'll find things or whatever and do some research about it. But I thought that this was a good one and talks about breastfeeding fears. Now, when I had my first baby, I know I've said this a zillion times. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea what to expect. And I don't really think I don't remember having true fears because I had a lot going on. I was moving, like I had to move from, right after he was born, I had to move from North Carolina to New York. And that was my biggest focus in my whole life.
Yeah.
At that time was moving this baby back up to New York.
Yeah.
So I wasn't, and my mother had told me breastfeeding probably wouldn't work. So I was more focused on making it work than not working. So I don't remember having any fears. But then when I had the twins, I remember really being scared. Like when I was pregnant with the twins, being really nervous. Like, what if they don't latch? What would I do? What am I going to do if they don't latch? Like, did you have fears going into it, or did you just kind of like?
No, I really do think that there is something to be said about being just like an ignorant turd. Like I feel like that way too, just like even about, the state of the world, or like, like people that just don't know and don't care. I'm like, God, I envy you so much.
I know.
Like, how do you just live your life? You're just like, whatever, I don't care.
I know.
But there are people that just like, it also comes from, some of it comes from just like total ignorance. Like you don't even know to be nervous about this. Like I remember being so afraid of birth that I didn't even think about anything beyond that. Like I knew I wanted to breastfeed, and I'm talking about with Jack, my first, because that's really where the big thing, that's like the biggest transition. So I was nervous about the birth so much that I kind of was like, well, I'll just deal with the rest of it later. Like once I get through the birth, then, we can just deal with that stuff later. And I knew I wanted to breastfeed. I was very like determined to do that. But I don't know. I feel like even the books that I was reading, it was just like, well, so make sure they don't give the baby a pacifier. Make sure that you're not giving, formula. There was like a couple of things that when I got into the hospital, like, what's the deal? Like every time I saw my baby, because they take the baby, they bring it back and forth, whatever. I would take the pacifier out, and then like they have just like an endless pocket full of pacifiers. Like it's like, it's like like a magician pulls the scarves out of their pocket, and it comes for like 30, comes for like a whole minute. Yeah. That's just like the pacifiers are everywhere. They're just like, why'd you take it out? And I'm like, I don't know. I was told not to have it in there if I wanted to breastfeed. That's what the one book told me. And they're like, no, it helps them. I'm like, okay. I mean, I had no idea. I had no idea what to be nervous. I didn't know enough to be nervous.
Yeah. Yeah. You were at the most non-breastfeeding friendly hospital there is.
I was. They were the most I don't even know why they deliver babies there. Like what? I don't know what the point is. They should just focus on something else.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's, I just was not. Yeah. And then when you had Exley though, where you were tandem nursing. So did you really have any fears, or just fears about the tandem nursing?
Yeah, I mean, I felt, no. So then with Exley, I'd already been the badass breastfeeder for a few years. I knew so many lactation consultants. Every single day, all day, the topic of my life was breastfeeding. Like I went into it thinking like, this is going to be great. Like I know everything there is to know about breastfeeding. Like I was like now on the other side. Yeah. Felt like I knew so much that there couldn't be anything going wrong. Not in like a snooty way, but just like, I'm so set up for this. Like, this is going to be great. I'm so excited. I wanted a tandem nurse. And then he came, and then I was just like, oh, it's 2 boobs, 2 babies, whatever. Just like anything goes. And then we had problems. And then I was like, oh, wait, this is. So, I mean, I don't know. Yeah. But I mean, you have. I don't know. Yeah, going into it, I guess, both times going in, not so much. But, I mean, yes, fears, of course. My middle name is Fears and Anxiety.
Yeah. So
that sometimes it's there, and other times it's not. It's something else.
Well, this, I really like this about this article. It says, here are some questions that might help us find some perspective about our breastfeeding fears. Is my fear, and these are things that you can ask yourself if you're really fearing about, if you have a breastfeeding fear, if there's something that's popping up, or any fear, right? Is my fear a real issue that is happening to me, or is it my fear based on a story that someone told me about them? who do I owe an explanation to about how breastfeeding is going for me? The answer is nobody.
Mm-hmm.
What resources do I need to help mitigate the problem I'm worried about? And how can I access those resources? These are great things to consider if you're feeling like unsure about what is going on. So let's talk about some of these fears. The first fear is not having a full milk supply. I think this is one of the biggest fears for sure. This is the number one fear on this list, whether or not they went like they're ranging it from 1 to 5, being 1 being the, the most fearful. I don't know, but I would say this is probably the most fearful thing that I hear all the time is not having a full milk supply. And
I mean, that's the number one reason people stop too, right?
Mm-hmm.
That they feel like they don't have enough milk.
Right. And I want everybody to know that like that is really not the most common thing to happen, but it is the most common fear.
Yeah.
And most people will make enough milk for their babies. It is what's going on with your baby that can cause, a low milk supply, or if you have like a hormonal issue happening, that might be causing a low milk supply. But if your baby is not feeding well, that can cause a low milk supply. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes people go, oh, I have a low milk supply, so my baby's not feeding well. Whereas it's more of like, it's the baby not doing well, not feeding well, which is causing that low milk supply. We never want to blame our baby for our problems.
I know. No, go please. Blame your baby. Don't blame yourself. That's the worst thing to do, is then you're just like all like beating yourself up. Like your baby just got here. They're the ones who don't know what's going on.
I know. They have no idea what's happening.
They have no idea. Like it's like if there's an issue, it's usually with them.
That's
okay
very true.
To blame them. Let them take some of the heat. You just went through a lot.
They get over it. Yeah.
Yeah. No one's going to be mad at them for a long time.
No. It's all good. It's all good. But there's things that you need to remember. And we do have lots of episodes on like milk supply and stuff like that. But like eating more food isn't going to impact your milk supply, isn't going to like cause you to make more milk. Drinking more water is not going to cause you to make more milk. It is all about supply and demand, and making more milk is going to be stimulating that milk supply. So that is going to be your biggest thing. And I mean, you can go back to the myths episodes. I think at every myth episode, we have some stupid myth on what is going to increase your supply. And this time, a couple of weeks ago, we did a myth episode, and it was Dr. Pepper that was going to increase your supply, which it doesn't, by the way. But that was the myth that somebody told me, that Dr. Pepper increases milk supply. Ugh. So there's this, you can see milk supply is something that people really, really focus on. And I hear oh my gosh, all the time people say, well, I'll give formula if I have to give formula. It's like, nobody's saying, let's not rush into stuff. Like your milk supply, we can manage a milk supply.
Yeah. That doesn't matter. Just because you're having a milk supply issue doesn't automatically mean you have to give formula if that's not what you want to do. Like there are solutions to these problems.
Yeah.
And it still amazes me. It amazes me beyond belief. And I was there too, that we can literally grow an entire human being with thoughts and opinions and actions. Like everybody who has like the most amazing people on the world who have like changed the course of history, who have come up with cures to diseases, were all grown inside of someone. Like we can grow these people, they can grow their brains, we can grow their hearts and their vital organs, and their entire bodies are growing inside of us. And then they're born and we're like, oh, we can't take care of this baby. Our body doesn't know what to do.
That's wild.
Clearly, no, my body doesn't know how to make milk. My body's not making enough milk for this baby. Like, I feel like after all of that, we should have the utmost trust in our bodies to be able to do what they need to do. Mm-hmm. But we don't. It's like as soon as they're out, we're like, okay, we can't do this.
Yeah.
It's so weird. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
And it's really just this, like, how much, this formula marketing has taken over our thoughts about just breastfeeding.
And our confidence, yeah.
Our confidence, our knowledge, and it just there's no really way that that we can profit off of pregnancy. it's all gone into, breastfeeding. And so as soon as we get into that, it's just our knowledge, our innate knowledge, our confidence is just shot.
It really is. And I think people aren't sure what a full milk supply looks like for them.
Well, yeah.
I think that's the other thing. People are like, I don't know what a full milk supply means. And we've seen this before where people will say to us, I'm only pumping 4 or 5 ounces.
Oh my
thinking
God.
that's not a supply when that is an oversupply. People are really not sure about what their milk supply is. So, I mean, if you're worried about your supply, if you're not sure about what's going on with it, definitely contact a lactation consultant. It's so worth it to have a consult and get your questions answered and have some peace of mind, because it could be that you're worried about nothing.
Yep.
And things could be fine.
And you're just worried because you don't know. You just don't have the information.
Mm-hmm.
And once you have that information and somebody is saying like, oh, this is what's going on, I mean, you can move on.
Yeah. Now, the next one is nipple pain and discomfort. And this is a big one too. This is another reason why people stop breastfeeding is nipple pain, nipple damage. No, this is not normal. Okay. There is some discomfort that is normal with breastfeeding. And that is if the baby latches on, you might have a little bit of nipple sensitivity, a little bit of maybe nipple, even you could call it pain for maybe 30 or 60 seconds, and then it should be gone. You should not have pain that lasts throughout the feeding. That is not okay. It is not normal, and that needs to be fixed. But I think if people don't know that, they think that this is what breastfeeding is going to be like, and they're always going to be in pain, and they stop, because who wants to do something that's going to cause them pain?
Yeah.
But we can fix it. So making sure that you have that support that you need if you're having pain, don't wait. Do not wait. If you're having nipple pain or discomfort, do not wait to contact somebody. Don't figure, because I hear that all the time. You're like, oh, I thought it would just get better.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't on its own for the most part. So definitely contact somebody, get some help for that. Find out what's going on. Is the latch too shallow? Is, pumping painful? Is it from that? What is going on? Because pain in any way, shape, or form isn't normal. And then for some reason we get nipple pain and people are like, oh yeah, you're breastfeeding, you're going to have pain.
Yeah.
No. Why do people say that? Stop it. It is not normal.
No. And it's usually not. It's very easy to fix.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we should probably take a break and then go through the rest of them. Okay.
All right. We'll be right back. Today's episode is brought to you by Similry Breast Pumps. Similry Breast Pumps help you personalize your breastfeeding journey. Comfortable pump sessions should be the norm, not the exception. With the Similry S6 series gentle flow technology, your comfort comes first. With adjustable cycle speed and such suction strength in both modes that offer 85 setting combinations, you can fine-tune pump sessions to what works and feels best for you. A safe choice for everyone. All Similry pump parts and storage bags are phthalate, BPA, and BPS free. With a team of CLCs and free resources for families, Similry gives vital tools for a successful journey. Check out all of their pumps and their accessories at similrybreastpumps.com. That's Similry. Similry is CIMILRE, breastpumps.com. And you can use code BADASS for 15% off of your purchase. And as always, check with your insurance to see if they will cover this pump for you. Similry can help you do that. You can head to the show notes under this episode, wherever you're listening from, to find the Similry direct link, the promo code, in case you forget it. It is BADASS. And also at badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com, you can check for information about scheduling your very own one-on-one online lactation consultation with Dianne.
Yeah. So the number 3 breastfeeding fear is not having enough time to breastfeed while caring for your family. this was one of the things that I was fearful about with the twins.
Yeah.
Because I remember people being like, well, aren't you worried about milk supply or whatever? And I was like, no, I'm worried about having enough time in the day to like breastfeed all these kids and take care of a 2-year-old and do everybody's laundry and cook dinner and, all of that stuff. That can be really overwhelming. I don't have any like magical words of wisdom about that, but.
Well, except that bottle feeding is not going to save time.
It really doesn't.
That is not, I don't know why people think that that's going to be a thing that saves time, but like, there's no way that like just dealing with making bottles, cleaning bottles, and feeding bottles is going to be easier or faster than breastfeeding.
No, and your baby is still going to need that connection with you, that holding, that, all of that stuff that causes you to kind of slow down and not be able to do things.
And after a few months, you can nurse in a carrier.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can just be walking around while you're nursing your baby. You can't do that with a bottle.
No.
You can't just like walk around and feed a bottle while you're also cooking dinner and chasing your toddler. That's not, but you can do that while you're nursing in a carrier.
Yeah, absolutely. So it really is about just like balancing things, which can be hard to do in the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But once you kind of get it and you have help, I mean, like tag your partner for help. Like I was always afraid to do that. I was always like, I'm the one that's staying home. I should have to be the one that, does all the things. No, you're doing a lot of work and you need help from other people. That's
not an equal division of labor, like dealing with a newborn and then going to your work for 40 hours a week. That's not.
Yeah.
No, it's like all hands on deck here.
Yeah. I mean, definitely
also let things hesitate. Go. Just let it go. You can use paper plates, eat easy meals, let the dishes sit there overnight. Like it's okay. Like it's not going to be perfect and it's okay. It'll come together. It will.
Mm-hmm. It will. So as time goes on a little bit and it doesn't take long.
Yeah.
Things do come together and you figure out how to make things work. Once you but the very, getting used to having a baby in the house and getting used to what it is that they need and how to make that happen. Once you get that going, then it's easy to implement other things too. So you can do it. It just takes a little time to kind of acclimate to your new lifestyle. That's all.
Yeah.
Now, the next one is not getting enough sleep.
Oh, well. No, you're not going to get enough sleep.
No. And again, bottle feeding isn't going to fix that for you either.
It's not going to get you more sleep.
No, bottle feeding is not going to get you more sleep. But it even says in here, like room sharing or co-sleeping can make the night nursing easier. It makes it as easy as you can make it when the baby's right next to you. So being able to, if you have to get up and go into a different room to get the baby in the middle of the night, that gets old really quick.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, even if you're planning on sleeping separately from your baby, have them in, next to you in a bassinet or something in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like don't go to the
one
other
of those. No, don't go to another room if you can help it. Like one of those things that like sidecar things that attaches right to your bed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those are perfect. But that can really help you going, trying to get to bed earlier. I know a lot of people aren't big on napping. I hear that a lot too. Well, I can't, I'm not a napper. I could nap anywhere at any time, but not everybody.
My husband can do that.
Yeah. It's like a superpower. Not everybody is like that. So I totally get it. But, going to bed earlier, some people, I heard this the other day when I was talking to a client, said that, my husband's more of like a night owl and doesn't go to bed early. So she was like, I go to bed and he'll stay up with the baby for another couple hours and then bring the baby to me when he needs to be fed and then goes to bed after that.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. That's like I stay up later. We used to do that. I would stay up later with Jack, and then Josh would go to sleep, and then in the middle of the night, he would take him for a little while if he needed to, and then he gets up early. You just if you have different schedules, take advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that. That's actually works out really good with a lot of families. And that is make it work. And again, it's not going to be forever. It's just while you're kind of getting used to things and while you're just trying to get a little bit more sleep when you can.
Yeah. I feel like that's one of the things that I did not do well with remembering, is that this isn't forever. Because I tend to think that everything is forever, and then just like, oh my God, this is horrible. Life is terrible now. Instead of just being like, okay, this baby was just born. Like, this is how it's going to be for a few months, and then it won't be like this anymore.
Yeah. Well, it just feels like when you're in it.
Yeah. When you're in it,
you're never going to be anywhere else.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's hard to,
It's hard to imagine what life is going to be like when you're not in the middle of that, but it does pass. And for some reason, we do it all over again because we can't help ourselves. But it is hard to imagine when things first are happening, when you first bring that baby home and you're trying to acclimate to life. It's hard to imagine what life is going to be when things get like quote unquote normal.
Yeah.
But it does work. And the fifth one is feelings of overwhelm about going back to work and pumping. Just like we talked about with our review today. Going back to work, sometimes this is the most overwhelming thing to think about. I have people in breastfeeding class that this is their biggest fear, is going back to work. They're haven't even had their baby yet. And they're like, how am I going to manage pumping at work? How am I going to manage going back to work? There is so much involved, and it really is a very overwhelming fear about how to make it all work. But don't let it keep you from breastfeeding. Because I've had people say that too. Oh, I didn't breastfeed because I had to go back to work. Don't let it keep you from breastfeeding.
Yeah. I mean, this is another big one. This is the big one that stops breastfeeding.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see it, right? Like there's maternity leaves are usually 6 weeks, 3 months. And you can see in the statistics, there's a drop off at 6 weeks. There's a drop off at 3 months. Like, there's so much that goes into it.
Yeah. And there's people that make it work all the time. So you can definitely do it. It is just like, Abby decided to stay home. And sometimes people do that. Sometimes people are like, I don't want to go back to work. And they just end up staying home.
I mean, I highly recommend it if you can afford it.
Yeah. If it's something that you can manage.
And if you're going to think about, I don't know, if you're a social worker and you're making what I was making, you're going to be spending that on daycare.
Yeah.
And
yeah. So look at all the things. Look at all the things. But if you do have to go back, and let's face it, the majority of people do.
Yeah.
Then just, kind of keep in mind that once you get into a groove, it'll be fine. But there's a lot that goes into it, from making sure that you do have a setup at work, making sure you've talked to your supervisor or your boss, that there's some place for you to pump. If you don't have your own office, which a lot of people do not, if you can, there's a place for you to pump at work. There's a place for you to store your milk. There is, time for you to pump. There's a lot to think about, and getting it set up early, starting a little bit earlier, can really help with that. And when I mean start earlier, like talk to your boss before you go out on maternity leave.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you have a place to pump so that you're not worried about that when you go back. So one of the things I would worry about is getting everything together. Like, making sure that I had my pump parts, my bottles, my baby, my everything, when you're leaving the house in the morning.
Yeah.
When you're leaving the house in the morning, you got all the things, right? Like you got everything. And I remember like when I worked at the hospital, every once in a while we would get a call from somebody like who worked in the hospital who said, I forgot my pump parts today. Can I come down and get some parts?
Mm-hmm.
Because you just do. So maybe having an extra set of parts at work might be something that you can do so that if you do forget something, you've got them. Because things like that happen. I mean, you're only human. And those days where you're, kind of rushing to get out of the house, you might forget something. You might not have everything you need.
Yeah, we got a new car, a Ford Bronco. It's orange, bright orange. Oh, I love it so much. Anyway, the thing is, like when you turn it off, on the screen, it says check for backseat occupants.
My car says that too.
Yeah, things. And when my kids first saw it, they were like, "What? Like how? Why is that a thing?" And I'm like, "You don't understand." Like you clearly, obviously, they're kids; they don't understand. But I'm like, the fact that you are shocked by this. I mean, I have not like done my job explaining to you what adulting is going to be like. Like this is like how I can't even get over. I cannot even begin to explain to you why this is needed. Like it's not. There's no such thing as like a crazy bad parent who forgets their kids. Like there's literally your brain has you only so much it can hold. And we are asked every day to hold double what our brains literally can hold. And like any little thing, if we can have little reminders, it's not because people are, bad. It's because we're being asked to do things that are impossible.
Mm-hmm.
I'd said they were like, I got sick. I got a cold a couple of weeks ago. And they were actually was like, you're not sick. And I was like, you're right. I mean, I'm not, it's not a very bad cold. It's a very mild cold. He's like, no, you're not sick. You're like walking around and doing everything. And I'm like, who else is going to do it? What do you mean?
Expect you to
like,
do?
What? You want me to lay on the couch? Okay, who's going to do the 150,000 things that need to be done?
Right. Exactly. If he wants to do it.
If you're like, this is a super overwhelming and you do what you got to do.
Mm-hmm. I remember my mom saying that mothers don't get sick. We don't have time for it.
Yes. I don't have time to lay on the couch. What are you talking about?
I know. So pumping at work.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about.
Yeah. Pumping at work it is overwhelming to think about that return to work piece, leaving your baby for somebody else to take care of, like having that trust in other people, being able to, continue on with your breastfeeding relationship with your baby. But it is so rewarding when you get home from work and you can breastfeed your baby and have that connection again. Like it's just so rewarding. And I've had moms that tell me that, I can't be with my baby all day, but at least I can supply my milk for my baby, which can make you feel better about what you're doing too. So it's not all negative. It really isn't. There are some positives that come out of this as well.
Yes.
So yeah. So that's all on fears. So I hope if we touched on your fear, I hope you feel a little bit better. And remember those 3 questions that we talked about in the very beginning. I'll go over them again real quick. Is my fear about a real issue that is happening to me, or is my fear based on a story that someone told me about them? Who do I owe an explanation to about how breastfeeding is going for me? Again, nobody. And what resources do I need to help mitigate the problem I'm worried about? And how can I access those resources? So definitely think about these things. If you're worried about, oh my gosh, am I going to have nipple pain? Are you worried about that for you? Or is that because it happened to your friend?
Yeah,
really.
And you have a resource right here. So you can email us. And if Dianne feels like, if it's a question that I can answer, I'm going to answer it. If I don't think I can answer it, then I'll forward it to Dianne. If Dianne thinks it's going to need a consultation, it's $90, which please think about that in the long run. That is nothing. And also she can help you apply with your insurance to see if you can get that covered. But $90 to check in with your situation versus, I don't know, $900 that you're going to pay on formula for the year.
Right. It's worth it.
It is worth it.
So worth it.
It will set you up for success forever.
So good luck. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.